Invisible machines are analyzing your emotions every day. Their job? To calculate exactly what makes you angry. Then they feed you exactly that kind of content. They're silently pushing millions towards extreme reactions. What you think are your strongest emotions aren't really yours. They're engineered. Every time you open up social media, this is happening. There's a secret dark side to our increasingly digital lives. Over the years, it has perfected the most powerful behavior modification system that's ever existed. It doesn't need force or threats to make something happen. All it needs is your attention. Because in the attention economy of the internet, where outrage is currency, we're all going bankrupt. You've definitely felt it before. That burning sensation in your chest when you see a post that genuinely infuriates you. You're thinking, how could someone be this stupid or ignorant? Then you feel a rush of vindication when you discover that others agree with you. As a result, you like a comment, downvote a post, or even leave a hate comment. This isn't a side effect of the system. It is the system. Behind every notification, every trending topic, every viral post is a sophisticated machine learning algorithm with one goal: to keep you engaged at any cost. And nothing, I mean absolutely nothing, keeps people engaged like causing anger and outrage. You open Twitter, or X if you're finally comfortable calling it that. You see something that makes your blood boil. You open up the replies, type out an angry comment to the post, then watch as the likes roll in. Feels good, right? The dopamine hit caused by this exact scenario is actually training your brain. It's creating a feedback loop that's changing how you behave online. Back in 2021, Yale University researchers looked at this exact phenomenon. They analyzed a massive 12.7 million tweets from over 7,000 different Twitter users. They wanted to better understand why and how outrage was spreading so aggressively. What they found was absolutely disturbing. The data they collected revealed an unmistakable pattern. Every time users received likes and retweets for expressing their outrage, the likelihood of that user expressing similar outrage in the future shot up significantly. The more rewards they got, the angrier their future posts became. The basic design of social media, those little hearts and thumbs up, is exactly this situation. When William Brady, the lead researcher for this team, published his findings, he didn't sugarcoat it. They had found concrete evidence that this wasn't just an unfortunate side effect of online social spaces. These platforms were actively training us to express more intense emotions, like outrage, by offering a simple reward system. Get angry, get attention, rinse and repeat. Because the angrier we get, the more we engage. The more we engage, the more money these platforms makes. It's a perfect flywheel business model built on the worst aspects of human behavioral psychology. But here's where things get even weirder. The Yale researchers found something unexpected, a twist that changes how we should think about online polarization entirely. You'd probably guess that the people most susceptible to exhibiting extreme outrage online would be those who are already at the extreme ends of a spectrum, right? It makes sense. They're the ones already primed for anger the most. But you'd be wrong. It was the moderate users, the everyday, middle-of-the-road folks, who were the most heavily influenced by these social rewards, the seemingly reasonable people, the ones who normally see both sides of an issue. Here's what it looks like in practice. A typically moderate person posts something with just a touch of indignation or frustration about something in the news. Maybe it's their first time expressing strong emotion online. Suddenly, they're getting 3 times the regular engagement that they normally receive. Because as humans, we have a tendency to pay more attention to content that creates a strong emotion inside us, including anger and frustration. The algorithm, designed to maximize that engagement and recognizing this influx of new activity, pushes that content to more feeds. More likes pour in, more comments, more shares. And for the user that made the post, their brain registers each notification as a small hit of dopamine, a reward for behavior well done. Subconsciously, they've just learned a very important lesson. Outrage pays. The next time they post, they dial up the outrage slightly. Again, more engagement, more dopamine, more reinforcement. The algorithm notices this pattern and serves their content to even more people who respond to outrageous content. The cycle accelerates. Within months, someone who once had a balanced, respectable online behavior is now posting increasingly extreme content. They're not even necessarily aware of the transformation happening to them. They're just following the rewards. This creates a self-perpetuating system where moderate users are being pulled towards the far ends of any discussion. The center empties out, nuance is disappearing, and the end result? A society where reasonable discussion becomes nearly impossible, where compromise is seen as weakness, where we no longer recognize our neighbors as people with legitimate differences in thoughts, but as enemies needing to be destroyed. The digital public square doesn't just amplify existing extremism, it actually manufactures new extremists from ordinary people. These algorithms are effectively turning regular people into rage farms. But there's even more to it. You might think people prefer content that confirms their existing beliefs, staying in their comfortable echo chambers. But a 2024 study from Tulane University found something they called the confrontation effect. Daniel Makin, who led the study, discovered users are actually more likely to engage with content that contradicts their beliefs rather than content they agree with. When we see something that challenges our core values, we don't ignore it. We engage with it, often through expressions of outrage. Makin pointed out that platforms benefit from keeping users active, regardless of whether the interaction is positive or negative. Think about that. These platforms profit from any sort of online social conflict. That is their business model. This explains why your social media feed can sometimes feel like fight night. The algorithms have learned that showing you content from quote-unquote the other side generates more engagement than content you agree with. So they deliberately serve up posts designed to trigger you. The researchers exposed over 500,000 Americans to political posts on Facebook. Users were far more likely to comment on or react to posts that contradicted their beliefs. This was especially true when they felt that their core values were being challenged. The bigger problem is that these effects don't just stay online. They have real consequences in the real world. For example, researchers from University College London and the University of Kent found that algorithms used by social media platforms rapidly amplify extreme misogynistic content. TikTok was particularly bad for this. In just 5 days of monitoring, they detected a 4-fold increase in misogynistic content suggested by TikTok. The algorithm quickly learned to serve up increasingly extreme videos focused on anger and blame directed at women. The study created several test accounts representing different teenage archetypes. Each had specific interests. Initially, TikTok's algorithm recommended content aligned with these interests, but after just 5 days, the percentage of videos with misogynistic content skyrocketed from 13% to 56% of recommended videos. Dr. Caitlin Regier, who led the research, warned that harmful views are becoming normalized among young people, and these toxic ideologies are moving off the screen and into the schoolyards. Another example, in 2017, Sri Lanka experienced horrific ethnic violence fueled by rumors spreading on Facebook and WhatsApp. High-ranking Sri Lankan officials repeatedly warned Facebook about the brewing violence, but according to reports, every warning was ignored. When mobs finally took to the streets, destroying homes and businesses, the government reluctantly blocked all access to social media. What happened next was telling. The violence almost immediately stopped. Without Facebook and WhatsApp driving them, the mobs simply went home. And suddenly, Facebook representatives who had been ignoring government ministers for months returned their calls. Not to ask about the violence, but to find out why traffic had suddenly dropped to zero. This pattern has repeated across the globe. German researchers found a disturbing connection between Facebook usage and violence against refugees. In towns where Facebook usage was significantly above the German average, attacks on refugees were also well above average. Even more compelling, when Facebook experienced outages in certain areas, attacks against refugees in those communities dropped. Correlation or causation? To understand why these platforms continue to amplify divisive content despite knowing harms, we need to follow the money. Like I've said before, it's always about the money. Social media platforms make billions through advertising. The longer you stay on the platform, the more ads they show you. Their entire business model depends on maximizing engagement, likes, shares, comments, and most importantly, time spent scrolling. In the race for engagement, these companies discovered that moral outrage is their most reliable driver of user activity. As Max Fisher explained in his book, The Chaos Machine, moral outrage is incredibly powerful content because it taps into millions of years of human evolution. Throughout history, we humans have evolved to be hyper-aware of threats to our social group. Our ancestors survived by belonging to groups and defending against outside threats. Social media algorithms have essentially hacked this evolutionary trait. They trigger our tribal instincts to keep us engaged. Look at YouTube's goal to reach 1 billion hours of watch time per day by 2016. To hit this milestone, their recommendation system evolved to promote content that created a sense that users' identities were under threat. Internal conversations at YouTube explicitly stated their goal wasn't to surface the best information or content. It was to surface content that triggered the most emotional engagement. Every time you get likes or shares for expressing outrage, your brain releases dopamine. That's the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction. Over time, this creates powerful conditioning, training you to seek out and express more outrage. Social media platforms have essentially created a dopamine slot machine in your pocket. Each time you post something, you just might hit the jackpot with a surge of likes and shares. Just like gambling, the unpredictability of the reward makes it more addictive, not less. And lately, the problem is getting worse. As more content competes for our limited attention, algorithms must surface increasingly outrageous material to cut through the noise. Fisher explains it like this in The Chaos Machine. The amount of social media content competing for your attention doubles every year, but the seconds in your day stay the same. If your network produces 200 posts daily, you have time to read 100. The algorithm will show you the most outrageous half. Next year, when those 200 posts double to 400, you'll see the most outrageous quarter. The year after that, most outrageous eighth. Over time, your impression of your own community becomes radically more angered and outraged, and so do you. Meanwhile, less engaging forms of content, the stuff that is more reasonable, normal, or unordinary, gets drowned out in the battle for attention. Right now, algorithms are busy calculating which inflammatory content will keep you scrolling the longest. They're determining whose careers to boost and whose to destroy. They are deciding which groups to pit against each other. And they're doing it for one simple reason: because it works.